right, we should get started.
Yeah.
As you guys know, I'm a caricaturist. Rachael Green is a mixologist, and Michelle McNabb is an MC connector connoisseur. And we have wonderful guests. Thank you for coming, Tanya and Elba and Alia. And Rachael, do you want to take over and show everybody what we're going to learn how to make?
Yeah, that sounds great.
All right.
Awesome. It is such a pleasure to meet some of you guys. Thanks, Cathy, for really organizing and putting this together. Michelle, as well, just being an awesome support system. So today we are going to be making a gimlet, which is such a great cocktail. The foundation of where the gimlet really came from. Oh, this is fun. I love this.
Oh, sorry. I hope I'm not distracting you.
No, it's amazing. This has never been done before for me, so I'm really excited
to have the visual component with it.
Yeah.
Yep. So, very cool.
Yeah, this is brilliant. So I'm going to be making a gimlet for you guys today, and you're actually going to be getting this recipe sent to you in a PDF with Cathy and Michelle's information as well as mine. So that you can actually have that as a little takeaway. There's some information of like some cool stuff that we can go and do with you and for you in the future. But yeah, so a gimlet is a really great cocktail. It is one of the oldest cocktails actually made with citrus, which is really brilliant. So the reason why we started using citrus with cocktails is because of the naval ships that were traveling across the sea for months and months. Oh my gosh, I love it. So what happened was when you don't have fresh fruit for a long period of time, you actually get vitamin C deficiencies. So when they realized what was going on when all of the sailors were getting sick from scurvy, they started to try to figure out a way to preserve limes and citrus so that they could have vitamin C on their long voyages. So what they started doing is they started preserving limes in spirits such as gin or rum. And those particular spirits were able to preserve it for some time. But those are actually the foundational recipes for the gimlet and the daiquiri.
So really, it's because of the sailors getting sick.
Yep. So scurvy. So that drastically affects your immune system and your body will literally start to deteriorate. It's kind of graphic. But so by using citrus, they wanted to figure out a way to balance this out. So then around the 1850s or so, Rose's lime or Rose's grenadine, if you're familiar with that, they actually produced a syrup that could travel across the seas. And that's actually a cordial that's still used in a lot of dive bars today. But a lot of recipes have grown to separate these things. And now you have simple syrup or sugar, and you have limes or fresh lime juice instead to have a much more kind of balanced cocktail. The acidity pairs up really beautifully with the spirit. So you have something that's really refreshing and not overwhelmingly seemingly boozy, but actually packs quite a punch. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to grab our lime. Actually, what we are going to do is we're going to grab our glass here. And the reason why we're going to chill our glass first is because the cocktail itself is not actually going to have ice in it as we're drinking it. So we're going to go ahead and chill our glass, or you can go ahead and stick it in the freezer for the duration of our creation of the cocktail. And we're going to chop up our lime. And what you can do is when you're creating a wedge, you can actually cut it through the ends here. And you're going to cut a wedge like this and score it kind of in the middle, right through the center here. And you're actually going to keep this on the side as your garnish. So we're going to go ahead and set that aside and juice up the rest of our lime here.
Sorry, so we're cutting the lime in half or in thirds or fourths?
So you can actually cut it in half, right, straight through the line here when we're using something called a wedge. So the different types of lime garnishes you can do are a lime wedge, or you can do a lime wheel. Lime wheels work really well with cocktails that have ice in them because you can rest the wheel on top. cocktails that have no ice, or you're going to perhaps prop up the garnish on the side like we're going to do at the end, it's a really nice touch to do a wedge as opposed to a wheel. And if you're cutting a wheel, you're actually going to be cutting between these two ends right here as opposed to through it. Yeah, so different styles. I can actually show you what a wheel looks like too. So
that would be cool to see what a wheel looks like.
So we're going to cut right through the middle here. So this is that line that you see along here, but you just cut right through it. And then the wheel itself is when you actually cut a little sliver off, like here, and you have a wheel. So you can actually, I'll show you what both of them look like as a garnish on the side of the glass, which is kind of fun. But what we're going to do is we're going to juice up the rest of that lime until we have at least about an ounce of our lime juice, which is really good.
So step one, cut the lime.
Step one, cut the lime. I love your handwriting too. This is fun.
Oh, thanks.
Cute. So we're going to cut the lime and you're going to go ahead and juice it. Now you can juice it any way you like. You can have a hand press juicer. If you're using a hand press juicer, I actually prefer to cut my limes or any citrus into quarters. You can actually get the most juice out that way, which is really good. So little tips and tricks. All right. No. Look at him. Awesome. So another thing that we're going to need to prep before creating this cocktail is something called a simple syrup. So simple syrup is actually just that, super duper simple. All you need is just equal parts of granulated sugar. I use cane sugar and warm water. So what you're doing is just making the sugar more easily dissolved into the cocktail. So have you ever had like an iced tea or like iced coffee and you try to put honey or sugar and it just sinks to the bottom and you, no matter how hard you stir it, you just can't get those granules? Well, actually simple syrup solves that solution for you. It's actually a solution of sugar and water. So this is actually a really fun thing to keep around the house. And so I actually just created the simple syrup by putting this much sugar and then that much warm water, and I just stirred it until it was completely dissolved. Absolutely simple. But you can use it for iced coffee, iced tea, all those types of things. It's really quite amazing. So after you create your simple syrup, you have your lime juice and your gin, we're ready to make our drink. All right, so
Nice.
I like to
lime juice and gin.
Yeah. Find your gin. That's the gin man.
What kind of gin do you use?
You can use any particular type of gin. For a classic gimlet, you could use like a London Dry or a Navy Strength if you want to get real rustic. But I'm just using a regular American style gin.
Okay.
And
you mix it all together?
Hmm?
You mix it all together then? Sorry.
Yeah, so we're going to start by building it in our glass. And I'm going to start by adding an ounce of our lime juice. Here. Just going to go ahead and add this to our glass. And one of the things I really love to do as I'm going through a cocktail demo with people is to taste the process as it evolves. So as you're building this cocktail, it's really fun to experience what everything tastes like. So as you're adding in the lime juice, go ahead and smell it, taste it by itself, see the astringent, bitter, and intense flavors that come from just having lime juice, which is really interesting. Then to start create this balance, we're gonna do 3/4 ounces of our simple syrup. Now you can do an equal parts, which is a traditional sour recipe where you can dial back the lime juice a little. But for a modern classic gimlet, which is kind of a funny term, it's an ounce of lime juice, which is actually 2 tablespoons if you're working with that at home. And then 3/4 of an ounce of our simple syrup. All right, now this is a an amazing sour mix. It's going to be a lot more flavor forward. Obviously, it has a lot more integrity than something that you can just buy from a store. But it starts tasting really, really good. Then, last but not least, we add our gin. And we are going to just be going ahead and adding 2 ounces of our gin. And when you're using something like a bar jigger here, you want to make sure you have a meniscus, which is where it starts to bubble a little bit over the top. And that creates a full pour of gin or anything that you're using. So now we have our full cocktail, but one of the most important ingredients of a cocktail that is really not mentioned quite enough is the water component. So if you were to try just these 3 ingredients by themselves, it would be really intense, be really strong, and it's not quite there yet. Obviously, it's warm as well. So when we're adding ice to our cocktail, we're doing quite a few things. We are diluting it, chilling it, and incorporating our ingredients so that it's a very well incorporated and blended cocktail. So we want to make sure that we have those ingredients all well shaken up. So how we are mixing these ingredients is through a lot of really intense motions, but also with air. So by using something in a shaker tin like this, we're using air and we're aerating this cocktail super hard. So the fun thing about creating cocktails is then getting to shake them. So we want to make sure we have a nice firm seal on our shaker tin before we go ahead and get it set up. So when we shake, you want to shake fast and hard, and so it's going nice and through the shake tin. But we're going to shake this one for about 20 seconds or so. All right. Yay! All right. So now when we're done shaking our cocktail, we can tell because our hands are getting really, really cold because the outside of this tin is going to be really frosty cold, almost to the point where our hands are sticking to it. Then we unseal our tin. And we're going to go ahead and get our glass and dump the ice out so that you can tell it's nice and frosty. The reason why we chill our glass is because we are not going to have ice in the cocktail after we strain it out. So the cocktail stays cold the entire time that we're drinking it, unless we chug it down. We chill the glass so that it actually stays nice and cold. So we put a strainer on top of our cocktail shaker, and we're just going to strain our cocktail into our glass. Beautiful.
I'm jealous.
I'll take that one.
I'll have to make you one day. And then last but not least, we're going to go ahead and grab our lime wedge and stick it along the outside of this glass. And here we have a classic gimlet.
That sounds so good. So refreshing.
Wait, let me take a picture of you.
I want one now.
Awesome.
Oh my
I can
gosh.
show you guys what the wheel looks like too.
Smile. Oh, it's on me. Hold on. Oh, I'll review. I'm jealous. That looks amazing.
Cathy, I love your illustration. That is so fun.
Full pour.
Yeah, it looks so good.
I know. I love citrusy tastes because, especially like in a hot summer day, it's like, oh, God, the best.
Made.
All right. And I'm going to
That was a fantastic demo, Rachel. And how can people find you?
This is with the wheel too.
Oh, I like the wheel. I don't know. What do you girls like, the wheel or the wedge?
I like the wheel.
I feel like
Yep.
the wheel-
I like the wheel.
Wedges are more convenient to like actually squeeze into the drink, but aesthetically I like the wheel more.
Yeah, that is a good
Yeah.
point.
So when you're cutting a wheel, in order to have it sit straight up like this, you want to make sure it's nice and thick too. So it's good if you're working with a lot of citrus and you have a lot of limes at your disposal. But if you're not, I like to work with like a thinner wheel, and you can just float it in the glass.
Yeah.
But yeah, some of the best ways to find me, I am on Facebook, which is where I kind of do a lot of my networking for entrepreneurs in the event planner industries and in team building experiences that I do for people trying to add value to happy hour experiences for their team, for their clients, for their virtual events, and also for personal benefits as well. So I am found on LinkedIn, where after my little / is Rachael Green DM, because I used to be into digital marketing. And I have Instagram, which is rachgreen_cocktails, which is the actual name of my company, Rach Green Cocktails.
Awesome job, Rachael. That was fantastic.
Nice, this was fun.
I love it.
I want a gimlet right now.
I never heard of one, but it sounds so good. I really like citrus and refreshing. Not super sugary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this will be a really good one for you if you like tart too. Do you like tart?
Yeah. Yes. It does depend, but yeah, I like the citrus and the lime.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
you know what? What do you think? How would it be if I were to carbonate it? It's so funny. I like things to be carbonated, and so
Yeah.
I'll make a cocktail and just put in my soda stream. I'm like, oh, yep,
Well,
that's what I want.
Actually, it's brilliant that you said that. So the gimlet is a foundational cocktail recipe that a lot of recipes were built off of.
Really?
So the gimlet, though it really started back in the late 1700s and really became a gimlet in the 1850s. So in the early 1900s, or right on the cusp there was a cocktail called a Ricky, and it was named after Colonel Ricky, and it's a gimlet, but with soda water.
There you go. Yeah, like a gin and
classic cocktail.
There you go. Yeah, it's so funny. I have a soda stream, and I just prefer it to be carbonated. I don't know. It tastes even more refreshing to me. So even if it's not meant to be, I will make it carbonated.
No, you know what's a really good version of that too is if you add a little bit of cucumber and mint.
Yep, that's right up my alley. That's exactly. I want that. That's what I want.
That's called
my jam too.
East Side Ricky.
Yeah, that sounds delicious.
So
I love
East Side
it.
Ricky is with muddled cucumber and mint. You don't have to muddle the mint because it's an aromatic, so you can just
slap it
right on top. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So do that with the soda stream. You got yourself a fancy cocktail, girlfriend.
That sounds delicious.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right, I'm trying to gift everybody your drink recipe. I'm going to put it in the chat. So bear with me here. And then, oops. Okay. Good old desktop taking forever. Okay.
Awesome. So how about
Cheers.
How about the rest of you? Have you ever tried a gimlet, or what are your experiences with working with sour cocktails? Do you love a margarita?
I love margaritas with a mezcal. And but I do like citrusy light drinks, like a limoncello I love. But I think a gimlet's really I like the citrusy light taste.
Mm-hmm.
That's me. How about you guys?
I'm a Hemingway daiquiri girl all the way.
Ooh, there we go.
Wow.
My old apartment had a lime tree in the backyard, and I had more limes than I knew what to do with. So I did make my own lime jello.
Yum.
Juiced a
Yum.
bunch of them and froze the juice for cocktails. So I had citrus cocktails for months.